and welcome back to the Giraffe, the Pelly and Me. I hope you had a wonderful weekend in the snow. We certainly got some snowmen built, lots of walking done and lots of snow round our feet, which was chilly but lovely when we came in to warm up. So I think we are probably going to finish our book today, and I want to know why the giraffe started to cry just as he was offered a home. Is there a problem? Asked the Duke. If there is, do please let me hear it. I don't like to sound ungrateful or pushy, murmured the giraffe, but we do have one very pressing problem. We are all absolutely famished. We haven't eaten for days. My dear Giraffe, cried the Duke, how very thoughtless of me. Food is no problem around here. I'm afraid it's not quite as easy as all that, said the giraffe. You can see I myself happen to be... Don't tell me, cried the Duke. I know it already. I am an expert on animals of Africa. The moment I saw you, I knew you were no ordinary giraffe. You are the gregarian variety, are you not? You are absolutely right, Your Grace, said the giraffe. But the trouble is with us that we only eat... You don't have to tell me that either, cried the Duke. I know perfectly well that you can only eat one kind of food. Am I not right in thinking the purple and pink flowers of the tinkle tinkle tree are your only diet? Yes, sighed the giraffe, and that's been my problem ever since I arrived on these shores. It's no problem here at Hampshire House, said the Duke. Look over there, my dear Giraffe, and you'll see the only plantation of tinkle tinkle trees in the entire country. The giraffe looked. She gave a tiny gasp of astonishment, and at first she was so overwhelmed she couldn't even speak. Great tears of joy began running down her cheeks. Help yourself, said the Duke. Eat all you want. Oh, my sainted souls, gasped the giraffe. Oh, my naked neck! I cannot believe what I am seeing. The next moment she was galloping full speed across the lawns and whinnying with excitement. And the last we saw of her, she was burying her head in a beautiful pink and purple flowers that blossomed on the top of the trees all around her. As for the monkey, the Duke went on, I think he will also be pleased with what I have to offer. All over my entire estate there are thousands of giant nut trees. Nuts, cried the monkey. What kind of nuts? Walnuts, of course, said the Duke. Walnuts, screamed the monkey. Not walnuts. Do you really mean walnuts? You're pulling my leg. You're joking. You can't be serious. I must have heard wrong. There's a walnut tree right over there, said the Duke, pointing. The monkey took off like an arrow. A few seconds later he was high up in the branches of the walnut tree, cracking nuts and guzzling down the insides. That only leaves the Pelly, said the Duke. Yes, said the pelican nervously, but I'm afraid that what I eat does not grow on trees. I only eat fish. Would it be too much trouble, I wonder, if I was to ask you if there was a reasonably priced piece of haddock or cod every day? Haddock or cod? Shouted the Duke, spitting out the words as if they made a bad taste in his mouth. Cast your eyes, my dear Pelly, over there to the south. The pelican looked across the vast rolling estate and in the distance saw a great river. That is the River Hamp, cried the Duke, the finest salmon in the whole of Europe. Salmon? Screeched the pelican. Not salmon. You don't really mean salmon? It's full of salmon, the Duke said, and I own it. You can help yourself. Before he had finished speaking, the pelican was in the air. The Duke and I watched him as he flew full speed towards the river. We saw him circle over the water, then he dived and disappeared. A few moments later he was in the air again and he had a gigantic salmon in his beak. I stood alone with the Duke on the lawn beside his great house. Well, Billy, he said, I'm glad they're all happy. But what about you, my lad? I am wondering if you happen to have just one extra special wish all for yourself. And if you do, I'd love you to tell me about it. There was a sudden tingling in my toes. It felt as though something tremendous might be going to happen to me at any moment. Yes, I murmured nervously. I do have one extra little wish. And what might that be? Said the Duke in a kindly voice. There's an old wooden house near where I live, I said. It's called the Grubber, and long ago it used to be a sweet shop. I have wished and wished that one day someone might come along and make it into a marvellous new sweet shop all over again. Somebody? Cried the Duke. What do you mean, somebody? You and I will do that. We'll do it together. We'll make it the most wonderful sweet shop in the world. And you, my boy, will own it. Whenever the Duke got excited, his enormous moustache started to bristle and jump about. Right now, it was jumping up and down so much it looked as though there was a squirrel on his face. By gad, sir, he cried, waving his stick, I shall buy the place today. Then we'll get to work and have the whole thing ready in no time. You just wait and see what sort of sweet shop we're going to make out of this Grubber place of yours. It was amazing how quickly things began to happen after that. There was no problem about buying the house because it was owned by the Giraffe and the Pelly and the Monkey, and they insisted upon giving it to the Duke for nothing. Then builders and carpenters moved in and rebuilt the whole of the inside so that it once again had 3 floors. On all of these floors, they put together rows and rows of tall shelves, and there were ladders to climb up to the highest shelves and baskets to carry what you bought. Then there were sweets and chocks and toffees and fudges and nuggets, and they began pouring in to fill the shelves. They came by aeroplane from every country in the world, the most wild and wondrous things you could ever imagine. There were gum twisters and fizzwinkles from China, froth blowers and spit sizzlers from Africa, tummy tickles and gobwangles from Fiji, and lip lickers and plush nuggets from the land of the midnight sun. For a whole 2 weeks, the flood of boxes and sacks continued to arrive. I could no longer keep track of the countries they came from, but you can bet your life as I unpacked each new batch, I sampled it carefully. I can remember, especially the giant wangdoodlers from Australia. Every one of these huge, ripe, red strawberries hidden inside a crispy chocolate crust, and the electric fizz cocklers that made every hair on your head stand straight up on end as soon as you popped it into your mouth. And there were nish nobblers and gum glotters and blue blubbers and sherbet slurpers and tongue rakers. And as well as all of this, there was a whole lot of splendid stuff from the great Wonka factory itself. For example, the famous Willy Wonka rainbow drops. Suck them and you can spit 7 different colours. And his stick jaw for talkative parents. And his mint jub tubes that will give the boy next door green teeth and a green mouth. On the grand opening, I decided to allow all my customers to help themselves for free. And the place was so crowded with children you could hardly move. The television cameras and the newspaper reporters were there too. And the old Duke himself stood outside in the road with my friends, the Giraffe and the Pelly and the Monkey, watching the marvellous scene. I came out of the shop to join them for a few moments, and I bought each of them a bag of extra special sweets as a present. The Duke, because the weather was a little chilly, I gave a scarlet scorch dropper that had been sent to me from Iceland. The label said that it was guaranteed to make the person who sucked it as warm as toast, even if they were stark naked in the middle of the North Pole in midwinter. The moment the Duke popped it into his mouth, thick smoke came gushing out of the old boy's nostril in such quantities that I thought his moustache was going to go up in flames. Terrific, he cried, hopping about. Tremendous stuff. I'll take a case of them home with me. To the Giraffe, I gave a bag of gumptious glob gobblers The gob globbler is an especially delicious sweet that is made somewhere near Mecca. And the moment you bite into it, all the perfume juices of Arabia go squirting down your gullet, one after the other. It's wonderful, cried the giraffe as a cascade of lovely liquid flavours poured all the way down her long throat. It's even better than my pink and purple flowers. To the pelican, I gave a big bag of pishlers. Pishlers, as you probably know, are bought by children who are unable to whistle a tune as they walk along the street, but long to do so. They had a splendid effect on the pelican, for after he put one in his beak and chewed it for a while, he suddenly started singing like a nightingale. This made him wildly excited because pelicans are not songbirds. No pelican has ever been known to whistle a tune before. To the monkey, I gave a bag of devil's drenchers, those small, fiery black sweets that one is not allowed to sell to children under the age of 4 years old. When you have sucked a devil's drencher for a minute or so, you can set your breath alight and blow huge columns of fire 20 feet into the air. The Duke put a match to the monkey's breath and shouted, "Blow, monkey, blow!" An orange sheet of flame shot up as high as the roof of the Grubber house. It was wonderful. "I've got to leave you now," I said. "I must go and look after my customers in the shop." "We must go too," said the giraffe. "We have 100 windows to clean before dark." I said goodbye to the Duke, and one by one I said goodbye to my 3 best friends that I had ever had. Suddenly we all became quiet and melancholy, and the monkey looked as though he was about to cry as he sang me a little song of farewell. "We have tears in our eyes as we wave our goodbyes. We so loved being with you, we 3. We're so pleased now and then. Come and see us again, the giraffe, the Pelly and me. All you do is..." Oh, sorry, let's try that bit again. "All you do is to look at the page of this book, because that's where we will always be. No book ever ends when it's full of your friends, the giraffe, the Pelly and me." So everybody ended up getting what they wanted. The giraffe got her pink and purple flowers, the monkey got his walnuts, the Pelly got his salmon. I think the Duke really enjoyed looking after people as well, because he seemed far less harsh and grumpy by the end. And the Grubber is up and running for everybody to enjoy. I hope you've enjoyed the Giraffe, the Pelly and Me as much as I've enjoyed reading it to you. Look after yourselves and stay safe, and I'll see you next week with a different story.